What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how classes will work in Hogwarts Legacy. Now, of course, when I say classes, I mean like the lessons, Defense Against the Dark Arts, potions, etc., etc. We got a pretty good information dump during the gameplay showcase, and again, much like I did in the last couple videos, I want to play you guys a clip where Chandler asks the question, okay, how do classes actually work in this game? And then they go through the answer. So I'm going to play the clip, and then we'll talk about, in my opinion, number one, why it's the right decision to do it this way, and number two, kind of expanding upon what I think they're talking about.
Ultimately decided not to go the sim route. So I think like one of the speculations was, is there time of day and that kind of thing. Like, can I miss class at this time of day?
There is a day-night cycle.
Yeah, there is a day-night cycle, but everything is very narrative-based, and so there's a big mystery going on in the world. There's something happening in the narrative, and we essentially see it as kind of like chapters in that narrative. Each chapter of which has a set of missions that you can choose between as you're progressing through the game, and classes fit within that structure. So there are mainline things that the players have to do, and then classes also appear on the sides as well as optional things that help you advance your spells. It's absolutely true that classes provide all of your major tools throughout the gameplay, your spells, your major abilities. You get to know the professors. Each one of them has these bespoke kind of events and moments in those missions. And then there are also additional opportunities outside of that through kind of like side classroom missions, essentially, where you can learn additional spells or things that you need in your adventure and also get to know the professors better.
Okay, so number one, again, I respect this decision a lot. I really like the decision. I don't know if it's necessarily my personal preference to have done it this way. Like, if you would have went the other way, and we've talked about this, we talked about this in live streams and videos, if you would have went, as they actually said, the Sims route, right? Literally making everything kind of on a timer, and can you skip potions class at 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m.? Can you skip that? And, will you get detention for doing it? There's a lot of really creative and clever things you could do going down that direction. But that would be, and I do understand this, you'd have to kind of tailor the game to that. It would have to, that would be a super, super strong element in the game. And honestly, it's not. So the classes are a big part of it, but how they're doing it is it's more narrative and story based. So, preference wise, I would have taken either, because I think there's some really cool things you could do with either of them. But obviously they went this direction, and this direction, as they kind of explained, right? So it is actually what we had predicted. And I think that jumping seasons thing that we have talked about in live streams, that's exactly what's going to happen. So there's going to be obviously the main quest, which they said, he literally said, there's the main story, there's big things going on, and then there's going to be chunks. Remember how he said that? That's pretty much what we've been saying, leading in, where you could imagine the fall when you first go into Hogwarts, when you get sword and all that, there are going to be a group of quests you'll be able to do during that time. Then the story, the seasons, all that stuff will jump to the next section of the game. I guess I should say the story will jump because, narrative kind of leading it. That'll jump to the next section, which most likely is going to jump to the next season. Now, the question would be how many missions per season, per, kind of that area of time. How long would it be? Because you want to spend a good amount of time in Christmas, right? You want to see all the windows decorated and the Great Hall and all that stuff. So hopefully they spend a good amount of time in each season. But you have that. And now, one thing obviously this is a video I want to try to use to explain it. I am a little confused on one thing, so maybe you guys can help in the comments. The first time I heard this, and I've listened to this 3 times now just to really try to get what they're saying, it does sound like there's some things that you'll be able to choose. He mentions that, I think, 2 or 3 times in this, minute and a half clip. So the way I listen to that is that there'll be side things that you have the choice. You can do it or you cannot do it. And I guess, the companion stuff is a really good example of things you can choose to do or not choose to do. But they bring up another example, right, where they say, so classes, the actual classes in this game, there's going to be basically a requirement. It's going to be part of the main story to go to these classes and do things. And that's how you're going to get your major spells, your major, kind of pushing, again, the story forward. You're going to learn about the professors that way, all that stuff. But then there's going to, on top of that, be side activities you can do for the classes. Now, what's interesting, and again, the thing that I'm trying to kind of point out to see, okay, how exactly is this going to work? He does mention, you can do it versus you don't have to do it. But during that segment of time, he also says, some of the stuff that you can do for like the side activities for the classes, they give you major things that you'll need on your journey. So that doesn't sound like it's a choice. It sounds like, well, if you need that to do something in the game, you'll have to do it. But I don't know. I could be listening to that wrong, or maybe he said it wrong, or, you know, however it goes. But he also does bring up that when you do side activities, or some of the side activities for the classes, they'll give you additional spells. So it does make a lot of sense, right? You're required to do it a certain, I'm sure, you know, there'll be a probably even-ish amount of times you'll go to, you know, each of the classes, and you'll have to do that. You'll learn your main things that the game requires you, that you have to have in order to progress the story. Plus, the story will be part of going to the classes, because you're learning, right? You're figuring stuff out. You're learning new spells. You're learning potions, all this stuff. You're learning about the professors. And then on the side of those things, you'll be able to do probably like fetch quests, like, hey, I need this thing for potions class. Can you go get it for me? And you'll go get it, right? And then that will, you know, you'll get rewards for that. That you don't have to do those things, but you probably should, right? Because it's still story-ish elements, and you'll get additional things. So I like it. I really do. I think this is probably the better way to go, only because if you go full simulation, if you go full, okay, you got a schedule every single day, you got to do this, and then you can lose house points if you skip classes. Again, there's some really cool stuff there, but then that really would probably be the focus of the game. I mean, from a development perspective, that would be such an integral part of the game, whereas I think they kind of pulled back on that, which, again, I totally respect that decision. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.